Greetings, this is Rosalind Parks with National Network View News, filling in for Brother Robert Muhammad. On tonight's show, NNV Weekly contributor Charles Muhammad will provide tips on how to eat to live and avoiding snacking in between meals, which is the biggest obstacle we face when eating properly. Then, our guest Shakeyma X, founder of Hazel Honey Beauty, will discuss her beauty boutique, products, and services specifically for women of color. Lastly, Brother Abdul Malik Muhammad, top fisherman of the Nation of Islam, will discuss how Blacks became a consumer nation and the changes we must make in order to survive. Before we get into the top news, let's do a recap of the current events we've recently covered. On yesterday's show, NNV News anchor Tariq X was joined by Weekly Global View contributor Nina Shabazz Muhammad, who discussed her interview with Justin Kareem Muhammad, CEO of Next Level Development, about his repatriation project to our ancestral homeland.
We hear how minerally rich Africa is, and so I asked him, what is the exact process for extracting resources like copper and bringing it to market, or extracting it and processing it as a viable product. And this is what he said.
I guess with a lot of what we're doing, we're learning as we go. So copper, the first and most important thing is to actually find it in the earth, where once you've detected it, then it's to actually get it, which for us involves drilling down into the earth, putting explosives in and blasting large portions of rock face, which we did, then separating the overburden or the waste material from the actual ore. Once that's done, it's then taken, crushed, pulverized, tested, and then we use chemicals and electricity to either get that into concentrate or into copper cathode, which is the copper that you then export. And that's the stuff they pay $10,000 plus a ton for nowadays.
Tariq X also spoke with guests Misha and James Clark with Connecting Kindly Urban Garden, who discussed the benefits derived from gardening and growing their own foods, as well as their life coaching services.
What motivated you to start life coaching? What are some of the topics you cover in your life coaching videos?
As far as the life coaching, I think it kind of came naturally with myself and my husband raising 8 children. That's life coaching in itself. And then I have a background in mental health, mainly working with children. And so, that was something that I like doing. I like helping people. And I talked to my sister-in-law quite a bit, and she is a life coach as well. So she talked to me and gave me the information on being certified. So I'm really just getting started, but I am really excited about being able to be advocates for, people, and to just try to encourage people to do the best that they can in this life.
On Wednesday, I sat down with Weekly NNV Global View contributor and Final Call writer Brian E. Muhammad, who went into detail about the Israeli government's political reshuffle and what it means for the Palestinians. Israeli politicians in the Zionist state have announced a new coalition government agreement. What are the parameters of the coalition agreement?
Well, actually, the parameters of the agreement is still relatively unknown. I mean, except the fact that it's a weak marriage of convenience whose only agreement was to get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu out of power. But, the other part, that we have to look at very closely is that if this is ratified, this agreement is ratified by the Israeli Knesset or parliament, the 2 main leaders of the pact, Yair Lapid and Neftali Bennett, agreed to split the prime minister post for 2 years each.
Brian E. Muhammad also gave insight on the political corruption of Netanyahu and discussed the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's questions to Israel in Part 12 of his 2013 lecture series, The Time and What Must Be Done. But why is Netanyahu facing corruption charges at this time?
Well, if you listen to him, it's the result of his political enemies, but you know, that you listen to him. But again, you cannot trust somebody who's part of the same den of thieves that he's now accusing of having, you know, being against him. The corruption charges that he's facing has to do with bribery, political influencing, doing political favors for people, you know, this type of thing, and which is normal in the world of politics. It's normal in Washington, you know, Israel's second capital, second home, Washington. It's a problem in politics.
On Tuesday's broadcast, I spoke with NNV's weekly contributor, Dr. Akili Muhammad, who gave a rundown on the immune system and insight on the environmental factors that affect the immune system's ability to fight off foreign invaders in the body. Now, Dr. Akili, what would you say is the best way to take care of our immune system?
Well, I think, you know, in a day and time that we live in now, I think the first part of having a good immune system is the way that we think. Here we are in 2021, and many people have been convinced that a vaccine is the best way to get you out of a situation that we're in. Well, if we evaluate that from a spiritual perspective, the first question we should ask ourselves is, how can a man or a woman, or this beautiful Black sister, Dr. Kemisia Corbin, go into a lab with her other friends and colleagues and produce something that we're going to inject into your body, and that's going to work better than the system that God gave you?
Right.
I will never, as long as I live, think that humans can do something better than God.
Dr. Akili Muhammad also spoke with me about the ongoing rates of COVID-19 infections, adverse reactions to the COVID-19 vaccines, and vaccine studies. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan warns us against taking the COVID-19 vaccine. He said, "We cannot let them bring anything to us that we don't dissect." Have our own virologists, scientists studied the vaccines?
I think there have been those that are attempting to study the vaccine to the best of their ability. The problem is that we weren't included in the reality at its inception. And I believe that is the mandate that the minister gave us as healthcare professionals, is to go and do the research. But when somebody that has already started a process hands you a vial, that's not being included in the process. What were the steps? What were the actions? What were the ingredients used to put whatever you have in that vial that you're presenting to me? That's what the minister was talking about, from my understanding.
Another topic that came up in discussion with Dr. Akili was the CDC and government officials' relaxed protocols on physical distancing, use of PPE, and gathering in large groups. Is it a mistake to loosen these social distancing protocols, even for fully vaccinated people?
My personal assessment is absolutely it's a mistake.
Okay.
And I would qualify that statement by the reality of the VAERS system that continues to report many people having problems with the vaccine. Secondly, I would qualify that statement based on the information that I am hearing from my colleagues all over the country, whether they're working in hospitals and urgent care centers, regular medical offices, or the emergency room. Almost to a person, they're talking about the strange realities that they're seeing. And those are the words that they're using: strange, bizarre, when they're referencing the people that they're seeing coming in that have been vaccinated. And the number of people that they are seeing in the hospital with the actual infection seems to be more of the vaccinated people than unvaccinated people.
Anchor Willie Muhammad spoke with monthly contributor Dr. Asad El Malik and returning contributor attorney Gavin Richard about how to break down the conduct of fans during NBA games and other sporting events.
The target of many of these unruly fans have been Black players. I haven't come across an incident where it was a white player who was spat on and popcorn was drawn. Does race play a factor in these incidents, or is this just a case of an unruly fan?
Well, I think the racial element is always a factor. We have to keep in mind the NBA, like the NFL, is predominantly African-American, filled with Black players. I believe it may be 85 to 90% Black in the NBA. And I believe in the NFL, it's probably close to 80%. If I'm being, my numbers may be off, but I think that's an accurate description. The racial element, as I said, is always there. And bear in mind, too, you are in the middle of a pandemic still. We have not been cleared of the coronavirus, although people are anxious to get back, and to have a fan actually spit on a player. But this player, Trae Young, my understanding, did not even want to press charges. A precedent needs to be set with any fan.
Willie Muhammad opened the floor for Dr. Assad and attorney Gavin to discuss the NFL's pledge to halt the use of race norming.
What's your overall thoughts about this practice?
You know, oddly enough, the practice was actually rooted in the, liberal ideas and written in many affirmative action bills, right? To start with these biased tests and to group each individual based on their race, or to compare different scores only to other individuals of the same race. This is Henry Clay 3/5 compromise. This is the idea that we are less than a human being, that we're only 3/5 of a human being. So we, as the brother Minister Farrakhan once said, we have arms, but they don't work a bill for us. We have eyes, but we can't see. We have ears, but we cannot hear. This is that type of idea about African Americans, that we're not fully human, that we're just a little slower, that we're in terms of our cognitive functioning, that we're just not as sharp, we're a little duller. We could run fast, and we're kind of strong, so they allow us to play these sports.
Let us pause for announcements from our sponsors. Coming up, NNV Weekly contributor Charles Muhammad will be on to share tips from how to eat to live and how to stop snacking in between meals. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Asiatic Minds, online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people, and upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Call now, 502-219-4848.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
In following the guidance of How to Eat to Live, snacking in between meals is the biggest obstacle we face in eating properly and maintaining good health.
An average U.S. consumer eats between 4 to 5 snacks per day and 3 to 4 beverage snacks per day. So even when people start a diet, they count calories, they eat less, which automatically increases hunger, cravings, the need for more snacks, causing the spike of insulin. But there's more. So there's various companies out there that predict the trends of the future. Here's one of them, the Global Industry Analysis Incorporated. Basically, they're funding the so-called healthy snacks. Trend is exploding, okay? Global snacks from the entire world are expected to exceed $630 billion in 2020. And this is driven by something called functional snacks, okay? Like the protein bars, protein snacks, organic, it's a buzzword, gluten-free, low carb, low calorie, GMO-free, no.
Joining us to discuss this is NNV Weekly contributor Charles Muhammad. Greetings, sir. Let's see. Just give us a moment to bring him in with a sound. Okay. It looks like we might not have Charles Muhammad ready with this sound. We're having a couple of audio issues. Please bear with us. Okay. While we're waiting for our audio issues to be completed or fixed, one of the things that we have learned from How to Eat to Live is eating one meal a day. It presents an obstacle for many who have not begun to eat one meal a day and are used to eating 3, 4, 5, and even 6 meals per day, as is prescribed by many health officials and much of Western medicine. All right, I just received word. We're going to move on to our next guest. We'll revisit our discussion with Charles Muhammad at a later date. Up now, we have Sister Shakeyma X, who will be discussing with us her beauty brand and how her services benefit Black women. Greetings, Sister Shakeyma.
Greetings, how are you?
Welcome. I am well. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for having me.
All right. Sister Shakeyma, as founder of Hazel and Honey Beauty Boutique, why was it important for you to cater to the specific beauty demands of women of color?
Yes, ma'am. So for my desire, I love beauty, and I truly believe that your inner beauty shows on the outside. And I just love to live by the quote, when you look good, you feel good. And just all of it spiritually, mentally, and physically ties in together. So when on my search of specifically shopping Black owned personally from women of color boutiques, I ran into the issue of swiping my card everywhere, or I wish I could just have it all in a one-stop shop area. And so that's when I came up with the idea to have a beauty boutique or a marketplace dedicated to women of color, with products made by women of color. And for that reason, it's because I feel like we are always a second guest in this world, or a second option. Like we have a small corner or a multicultural section, and maybe not even a full complete aisle, and it's filled with products that have harsh chemicals or makeup or hair products that's just not truly for us, like it's marketed for us. So that is why I felt the need and importance to have a beauty boutique or a marketplace where it's a creative outlet and sanctuary online for women of color, specifically with products made by women of color.
Now, when did you decide to start Hazel and Honey Beauty Boutique? You're very young, vibrant, beautiful. How old were you when you got this idea?
Honestly, I want to say in middle school, I've always known I wanted to have my own business, and I always knew it was going to be beauty related. I thought I would be making up my own product at one point. Very early on, I decided that was not for me. I felt like there was a lot of other great products out here, and I just wanted to be of help to help other women promote their business and let me help them reach their full potential with the products that they've already created. So the idea came to me very early. Me and my mother, when I did back in 2015 in college, we tried to do a subscription box, but I was still learning business and trying to have a more of a complete business plan. So I just recently launched April 30th. So I'm really brand new in the game, a brand new entrepreneur. So yeah, the idea came to me back then, but now it's more developed, and I'm in it, and I'm going through the struggles, but it's a learning curve. Each and every day I learn something new, but I'm excited.
Okay. Now, I was doing some research, and your bio mentions that you are a natural hair enthusiast. Does your assortment of indie products include natural hair care for women of color?
Yes, ma'am. So actually, I've just been in contact with a few vendors. So I will be receiving product at the end of this month. So in about 2 weeks, I'll be receiving all new holistic hair care line, luxury, and that's what I love about the idea that I created. It's a space for everyone, indie products, luxury, independent. It can cater to a lot of people's lifestyles or choices that they choose. And so we will be having brand new hair care, natural hair care line coming in towards the end of the month, and others eventually, reaching out to a lot of new vendors. And if any vendors or hair care who may be watching and want their products to have more exposure, please contact me, and I'm welcome to having it, bring it on board.
Wonderful. What are a few of your most popular products that you offer?
Yes, ma'am. So right now, skincare is really, really big. A lot of people are gravitating to no makeup, or less is more. And a lot of our skincare line by Lulu Valentine, this vendor is actually out in Louisiana. And that product, why did it just slip my mind? I actually use it every day. The Bruiser Potion Oil, that's our top product. A lot of our nighttime skincare, yep, that product right there actually is our #1 bestseller. Great for everyday use, very lightweight. I actually top it with a moisturizer. So a lot of our skincare, moisturizing creams, moisturizing oils, body butters, all of it has really proven to do really, really well with our consumers.
Okay. Now, how do you source your natural products?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm actually in the process of trying to find a better way, but I follow hashtags, Black businesses, Black women-owned businesses, and I'll reach out. I will do a visual test, and because sometimes appearance does mean a lot. So if you are serious about your brand, you can see and feel that people put a lot of time into it. So sometimes I'll do a visual test, and then I'll move forward to reach out after I've done my research on what the ingredients are. Are they willing to partner? Like, what are their mission? What are their why for their company and their brands? And then I'll receive samples, and I'll test them. I'll have close friends test them to see what they think of it, and we'll go from there. And we'll come into an agreement or a partnership to be like a wholesale partner, and that's usually the route that I've been going. But like I said, I'm learning, and mistakes happen every day, but the mistakes allow me to create new processes. And with those learning curves, I'm finding new ways to figure out better strategies to reach, new vendors.
Okay. Now, another piece of information that I stumbled upon was the name and the reason behind the name for your boutique. From what I understand, the name of your beauty boutique is after both of your late grandmothers. Is that true? And why did you decide to name your boutique after them?
I'm so sorry. I don't believe I heard a word you said. I can see you.
Okay.
It's not muted, but I'm unable to hear anything.
All right. Can you hear me now? Let's see. It looks like we're having a few audio issues today. Sister Shakeyma, chime in when you can. I wanted to know that whether or not you named your boutique after your grandmothers when you decided to name your boutique Hazel and Honey Beauty Boutique. All right. It looks like we're having a few audio issues for us today. Let's pause for announcements from our sponsor. Afterward, when we return, we'll have more with Sister Shakeyma X and more information on her beauty boutique. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
Before the break, we were speaking with Sister Shakeyma X, founder of Hazel and Honey Beauty Boutique. Greetings, Sister Shakeyma. Are you there? All right. It looks like we have lost Sister Shakeyma. However, we will return with her at a later date. Up next is Brother Abdul Malik, our top fisherman of the Nation of Islam. He is here with us to speak with us about Black people no longer being a consumer nation and what it means for us to survive. Greetings, Brother Abdul Malik. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. I'm well. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's get right to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Black people set up more than 60 all-Black towns and had a strong tradition of do for self without the oversight of our former slave masters. Why was the enemy so threatened when they saw us building these 60 towns?
The reason being is because there's a man called Willie Lynch. In 1712, he put a foolproof method together to keep us enslaved. He said it would last 300 years. Well, at that time, it's about 209 years into the 300. And so the Europeans saw that we had broke the spell of the Willie Lynch syndrome, and we started going back to being undomesticated because slavery had us domesticated, because they trained us to be that way, like they do the circus lions and the bears. But in the meantime, we were coming out of that, thinking on right angles, which our brain is made like. And we start putting things together. So they said, this is supposed to be 300 years. This ain't the contract we had with Willie Lynch. It's only 209 years or so. So they went over there and sabotaged us and bombed us and knocked us back into the Stone Age days as far as that's concerned.
Right. Now, recently on social media, we've seen a lot of mention of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre and other massacres that took place. One question that I wanted to ask you is, why was Black Wall Street destroyed?
Black Wall Street was destroyed because we weren't brought over here to flourish. We were brought over here to be slaves. And there is nowhere in the world you are going to unify like this. Take it from people, even incarcerated people. We can't come together with 4 people. They'll come over and say, disperse this mob. You guys know that the rule says you can't be together with more than 3 people, because they think that we're plotting and scheming to come out of a situation that they put us in. So this is why Black Wall Street was destroyed. The unification of Black people, fresh out of slavery, 1865. In about less than 50 years, they were putting towns and trains, planes, automobiles, and businesses together. No, that's the reason why they took it down, because they want us to be slaves. There is no way else around it. Yes, ma'am.
Now, how did the criminalization of Black business enterprise affect Black prosperity?
How did the criminalization of it?
Yes.
Well, I mean, Europeans, they're gonna trump up charges on us in all walks of life. Their job as Lucifer and his angels is to fight against the Messiah and his angels. And that's us. We're the chosen people. J. Edgar Hoover told us that the number one problem in America is unified Black people. So, and he said that we must stop the rise of a Black Messiah. So they do that. No matter what, we can be as legal as it want to, but they'll trump up some charges and lie with a lying lawyer and criminalize whatever we do as far as anything is concerned with economics. Redlining, Jim Crow law, it's just on and on and on. You know, the Nation of Islam is really the only solution for us, because it seems like they're a little threatened by us.
Now, the destruction of Black Wall Street and other massacres is well known these days as part of our history. What do you think the impact was or is on Black people as far as it affecting our do for self mentality?
You know, they shot and killed a lot of people, bombed us, burnt us, did all of that.
Right.
But that injury was physical. But the mental and spiritual traumatic issues that came from that, has it came back since then? It's 100 years later. Has it came back since then? No, because the mental and the spiritual damage that we sustained during that time was more devastating than the physical blows of you shooting one of us and killing us. And that's why, you know, we need a thorough knowledge of ourselves, God and the devil and the time we're living in. If you don't know that the European is clearly anti-Black by now, 99% of them don't, then we'll just carry on as we've been, being slaves with, you know, dressed up slaves, you know.
Right. Now, you're a wonderful businessman in your own right. what are your thoughts on how we can regain control of the Black dollar and put our future back into our own hands?
First of all, we have to have trust. You know, Willie Lynch, one of the things he separated is what made us distrust us, but trust Europeans. That's why most time when I'm dealing with Black folk, I show Europeans say it. And so the Blacks seem to be a little bit more attentive to me once I say something about the European. Mm-hmm. So we have something called prayer and fasting, the foundation to success, where we buy hundreds of properties, millions of dollars worth of property, but we're doing it through prayer and fasting. If you're not praying and fasting, if you can't hold your appetite, if you can't control your stomach, why would I trust you? You're a dangerous man, dangerous woman. You know, and it's the separation is going on now. You know, that's what it is. And if you can't do that, then it's going to be the wheat and tear. You know, we pray, we fast, and we keep ourselves cracked, black, and exact. We're not playing. We can trust one another, because I see this person constantly taking their vaccine every week. Not the 2 vaccines from Pfizer, not the 2 vaccines from Moderna, Johnson. The vaccines that we take is fasting from Thursday to Sunday, 72 hours. That's our vaccine. We do it every week. And we make 5 prayers a day because it's obligatory. And I call myself a Muslim, and I don't make 5 prayers a day. What type of Muslim are you?
Now, will land ownership and business investment return the Black man and woman in America into a potential economic power?
Absolutely. Because, you know, many of us do not want to touch no dirt because we inherited from slavery. You know, the thought of it, we were plowing and doing all of this stuff, picking cotton in this for 300 years, and we didn't get paid for it. Now someone asks me, Malik, you want to come out here? We're doing a party. You want what? Picking weeds. Yeah, all right. You love that. I'm not coming, because in my mind, I'm not feeling that. I don't want it. I have a bad spirit about it from 400 years ago. I just don't like it. That's why I hire someone to do it for me. You know, so, but the land is going to be the answer to our problems, because we have no idea how many millions and millions of dollars this is. Look at all that land we can eat for 20 years, 50 years off our land. You know, stop us from going to these these chemically engineered places like Jules and Dominic, where you get the groceries there and it's shot up with all kind of poisons that'll kill you. You know, that's why we blowing up like the world trade now, fat as we want to be, eating that food. And ain't that you just blowing up? You're blowing up because the chemicals that you are in the food starts activating in your body. And next thing you know, you went from 120 pounds to 262 pounds. That's not even realistic. But it's the chemical, another warfare that the European is using by our own mouth. I can't hear you.
The Honorable, you can hear me now? All right. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, I just want the American people, and particularly Black people, to see that influence is not gained by sitting in, waiting in, prying in, or praying in. It's buying in with the power of your dollars and your unity. Does your prayer and fasting group, powerful statement. Does your prayer and fasting group focus on using its buying power to increase unity, influence, and wealth building?
Absolutely. That is the foundation of it, is prayer and fasting, because the scripture said, seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all else will be added onto you. Well, if righteousness is not there, then we have no conversation. So we are 100% behind the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He trained us all. He trained me. And if they're under me, then they're getting nothing but what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says. And that's what we're doing. We're putting we have no problem putting our dollars together, because we've been doing this for some time now. As far as praying and fasting, we've been doing this. This is my 86 week in a row, not eating from Thursday to Sunday. Last meal Thursday, next meal Sunday night, 72 hours. And many of them did the same. So that's why the trust factor is there. And we definitely are putting our dollars together so that we'll be able to show people all across the nation that this is how it's supposed to be done.
Right. Now, earlier, you mentioned that a lack of trust is one of the things that keeps us from pooling our resources together. Why must Black America change our course and produce for ourselves and protect ourselves?
You know, the scripture says, my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways. If we're not going to do any of that, then there's no such thing as nothing. Somebody got to be fuel for the fire. The Holy Quran says fuel for the fire over here, and Allah will get his elect, his purified ones. So if you're not willing to pray and fast like it's obligatory, because it is obligatory, the unification of us is a pipe dream. But if we lean on God and not our own understanding, then we'll be able to affect the cure. Can't affect the cure. Trust me, I'm the person who wasn't making 5 prayers a day, but I call myself a Muslim. But I do it now. But it took an epiphany for me to get there because I didn't see it like I see it now. And many people to this day don't see it like I see it now, but they'll grow to do that. I can't hear you.
Can you please share with us how we can contact you and how we can join your prayer and fasting group?
Well, I'm on Facebook. They could get me there, and they can get it through you. You know, you're on prayer and fasting too, so yes. I don't have Majita's phone number. You know, so I could not. I mean, maybe she'll put it in the chat or something like that. Maybe all of them put it in the chat so that the people can know. But I'm on Facebook. It's all over. Everyone's doing it. There's people from all over. There's over 600 people on prayer and fasting. People are tired of disrespecting the God within. And if you're not making 5 prayers a day, total disrespect to the God that you say you represent.
Right.
Whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. So just do it, man.
Right. All right. Thank you, as always, Brother Abdul Malik, for joining us and for speaking on how we can unify as Black people in America.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors. Coming up next, we'll revisit our segment with contributor Charles Muhammad, who will be sharing tips from how to eat to live and how to stop snacking in between meals. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
Asiatic Minds, online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Classes begin September 1st. To enroll, visit AsiaticMinds.com.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story headline is A Call to Action. Children's Health Defense files petition for Food and Drug Administration to remove experimental COVID-19 vaccines from the market immediately due to reports of more deaths and injuries. This FCN volume number 36 edition middle page article is a message by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan entitled, Blacks must no longer be a consumer nation. We must change to survive. To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune in to the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the nnvnews.com Final Call cover report.
Please make sure you leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. Follow us on Facebook, National Network View, and make sure to check us out on Twitter as well, National Network View. This is Sergio Gutierrez with National Network View, signing off.
Joining us to discuss more on how to eat to live and how to stop snacking in between meals is Brother Charles Muhammad. Greetings, sir. All right.
Says my mic is muted. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Thank you for joining us.
Adjust my camera just a little bit. Okay.
Okay. All right. And while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. What would you say is the biggest obstacle to eating properly?
Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the number one problem is eating before time. Now, he does say that eat one meal a day, right? We all have different definitions of what a meal is and what constitutes a snack. Now, by definition, a meal is a time of eating, such as breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or it's a portion of a meal.
Okay.
But a snack is also defined as in between a meal or a light meal. So we are accustomed in this country to think that if we're eating just something very light, it's not considered a meal. So we could honestly say that we are eating one meal a day, and which we're not. So it's also the practice of eating outdoors in other venues, or, that breaks us away from the regularity that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted us to practice.
Now, what is the impact of snacking in between meals?
Well, if we read the words of Honorable Elijah Muhammad on page 22 of book number 1, he says openly, in eating once a day or once every other day, you must not eat in between meals. I mean, that's plain and simple. But he continues, do not change your meal hours. If you can help it, that causes your stomach to react to various hours of the day for a meal and will set up gas on the stomach. Do not drink juices, milk, or soft drinks between meals. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is telling us that when you eat at different times, you cause the stomach to react. And the stomach is a very critical organ. It does a tremendous work. And then one day we may go into what exactly the stomach has to do to break down the foods that we eat. The stomach doesn't know if you're ready to eat a full course meal or you're just eating a potato chip that you got from your coworker at a snack. So it has to react, and the reaction of the stomach is to provide, hydrochloric acid. You don't want to play with hydrochloric acid. It's like, juggling battery acid. So he says you'll wear out your stomach. That comes from eating at the wrong times and eating multiple times during the day. That's the issue.
As you mentioned before, we all have different ideas of what a meal is. In recent history, we have a lot of meal replacement and protein shakes. That is technically drinking, or would you consider that eating?
That is eating, in the sense that even if you liquefy the food, your stomach still has to break it down to a smaller component so that your cells could absorb it, right? You're not just, digesting something to like little chunks. It has to be very, very microscopic for the body to absorb it. So even when we eating energy bars, as you say, they may be considered healthy, but you're still causing the stomach to work, and you don't want to overwork your organs. It causes a domino effect that affects other organs like the pancreas and the liver that also have to play a part in digestion, and you don't want to overwork them. You want them to get plenty of rest.
Now, should we not eat when we feel hungry?
Well, yes, but that is a slippery slope, because naturally we don't eat until a certain period of the day. That's our natural way. So teaches Elijah Muhammad. But due to our conditioning here in America, they sell foods here out on the street. So eating in the street started from street vendors. Now, if you ever got an antique photo of any city in America, all right, you'll never see people in top hats and canes and walking down the street, even women dressed properly, eating snack foods, walking down the street. It was uncivilized to do that. People had a proper time and a proper place to eat. But now you could just have the mayor of New York City just go get a hot dog. Hot dogs are not really dinner food. It's a snack food, which originated from times when people had carnivals, fairs, circuses that would come to town, or even a ball game. So people would just be in the stands or walking around the fair, and they would be offered as snack food. Just walking around putting food in your mouth at that particular time, maybe 100 years ago, 120 years ago, it seemed uncivilized. You would never see people do that unless they were in these venues. But nowadays, that's what happens. And people begin to disrupt their regular eating by eating street food.
Now, some of us believe that snacking is like appetizers. Would you agree?
No, because the type of snack foods that we have they serve a different purpose. Now, the origination of like candy bars came from maybe, like I said, ball games where you had the Babe Ruth bar, and food and candies of that nature, where they were energy boosters, or you were fed that to get the same type of abilities as a great athlete. But no one would use a candy bar as a snack food as an appetizer. They just served a different purpose. And in all, there are chemicals in these snack foods that we have, like the candy bar, like dextrose, which it alters your chemistry. It makes you more hyper. And some people would call sugar an aphrodisiac. But these chemical scientists in the United States, they sneak these chemicals into the foods, which makes you more of like, an aphrodisiac, where you want to get close to someone. Really, you're just trying to get a piece of chocolate, just to satisfy your palate.
Is chocolate a natural treat? And if so, if it's pure, can it not be harmful to you?
Yes, in small cases, chocolate is harmless. It's actually something that aids in digestion. It's also an antioxidant. But chocolate, like I said, it fuels the fire. It's like a bomb ready to go off. And the U.S. military caught on to that, and so they began to incorporate chocolate into their food supply and giving it as a ration to their soldiers. And I've seen articles where the Tootsie Roll itself was an energy bar during World War II. So that jingle, whatever it is, I think I see, becomes a Tootsie Roll to me, because you begin to almost see double and want live action after having all that chocolate in you. So snack foods, they serve a different purpose than just to satisfy your taste buds.
Saying that the chocolate that was input into the rations actually helped make the soldiers fight.
Yes, they were giving actual rations. You can see here on the slide that they packaged these in like thin foil or plastic and giving it to the soldiers. Now, you could be off in Normandy on the beaches of France fighting the enemy, and you might have what they call a stalemate. So overnight, you're in your foxhole. There's nothing else to eat because all of the infrastructure is destroyed. You're popping chocolate all night long. So when the sun comes up, you're ready to shoot anything that's moving. So chocolate and these candy bars, they serve a different purpose. So you should avoid snacking on chocolate like that. And if you are going to snack, not that we advise that, try to eat something that is a healthier alternative.
Point. What healthy alternative, what other healthy snacks would you consider to be a good part of your one meal?
Oh, healthy alternatives in this case would be fruit. Now, fruit, you can eat it before or after the meal. It basically helps you in digestion. Fruit, for the most part, has a high water content, and it's easier to digest. And like I said, aid in digestion, and it doesn't take away from you in terms of any type of poisons that are in it, because Abdul Malik Muhammad said that there are poisons in all of our foods. So also, if you really want to get a good snack, is bread. Bread is also, that's why restaurants will serve you breadsticks before your meal. It's also an aid in digestion and eating, and doesn't take away from the experience of eating one meal.
Now, Brother Charles, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for staying on with us through our audio issues. We look forward to hearing more from you again next week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Up next, we're going to go back and bring back Sister Shakeyma on for a few more minutes to speak about her boutique and her beauty services for women of color. Sister Shakeyma X, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you as well for rejoining us and staying on to discuss your boutique. Now, before we left off, I was asking you about the name of your boutique. I ran into some information about the name being about your boutique being named after your late grandmothers. Is your beauty boutique an affiliate of Honey and Hazel boutique stores as well?
No, ma'am. I actually can't, it says I'm muted. Okay. Yes, ma'am. No, it's not an affiliate of Honey and Hazel boutiques. I actually haven't heard of any others, but they are named after my late grandmothers. One, Hazel, on my father's side, she was always just a beautiful woman, and she would sit on her porch if she didn't even go nowhere with her lipstick on or a nice blush. She just always looked good, felt good, and that inspired me as well. And on my mother's side, my great-grandmother, my grandmother Honey, she was just like the bread and butter of our family, and I love them dearly. And they're just two beautiful Black queens that I just thought of the name, and it blended so well together that I just wanted to go through with naming it that. And I actually, confession, have like a really big obsession of honey, like raw honey. I love honey. So
What a wonderful way to honor both of them. Now, I know earlier in our segment, you mentioned that you were just starting out and you're running into different trials with the business. Naturally, there are ups and downs and obstacles to overcome when you start a business. So how has your path in starting the beauty boutique been challenging to you?
Just the unexpected things of what all needs to be done, and it's just you until I can build up to reach out and get help. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, and sometimes that overwhelming feeling caused me to become stagnant and maybe not do as much as I could. And I actually still currently work a 9-to-5, and I'm a buyer for a corporate company. And seeing what we do at our business, trying to tie it into my own to continue to further our mission or be a part of like the mission with our nation, it's a lot of work. And I don't think I was expecting that. You know, social media nowadays, everybody kind of seems like you just blow up overnight, or nobody sees the back end work that it does take when you become an entrepreneur, or you say you're trying to really run a business. So those have just been difficult trials, a lot of, mental challenges, talking yourself out of it, if you can really do it or not. And you can, it's just managing my time and understanding like what I really want from it. And I want this to be a well organized, and I want this business to grow exponentially. And so just those trials of doing the research on my own and actually implementing it, it can be a major workload. So I think those are the biggest trials for me so far. And just really being patient, like not saying that I'm going to have 100 customers in a day, where it looks like entrepreneurship is portrayed as like, oh, you start a business and you start making 6-7 figures automatically. So I'll say that.
Right. Now, one good point that you mentioned was the your mind kind of just telling you to start and kind of stop. What are one of the ways, at least one of the ways that you overcome that little voice telling you that this is not going to work?
Definitely prayer. I definitely prayer. The refuge prayer, I seek that refuge from anxiety and grief, and knowing that trials are needed. Trials are, destined for anything that is fulfilling or will cause you to do great things. You have to go through certain trials. So just being patient in my prayer and guarding my prayers really changes my mindset. I also guard what I hear and what I listen to, making sure that I'm bringing in positivity and reinstating that I can do anything. And then I just feel that I have a duty to other people who's done it before me, the women that are entrusting me with their products to grow help continue to grow their business, help employ others. That's what really allows me to just push through.
Business. Sister Shakeyma, how can we contact you to learn more about your beauty boutique?
Yes, ma'am. So my email is info@hazelandhoneybeauty.com, and you can also follow me on social media @hazelandhoneybeauty.com. Yes, and the website as well as Hazel Honey Beauty. So please reach out. You can also DM me. I'm free to answer any questions or concerns that you may have. Also, really quick, I saw in the comments, which was a great comment while I was waiting to jump back on, about the name or title of women of color. And in the past, it has been used to kind of like marginalize or find a way to still push Black women out. And I'm glad that was a point made, because that is not what my intentions are. It is more digestible when you're being politically correct or trying to find funding, but specifically, my business is dedicated and catered to our Black queens. So I just wanted to just address that as well. But yes, ma'am, info@hazelandhoneybeauty.com, and please be sure to follow us at hazelandhoneybeauty.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clearing that up. And thank you for staying on to join us and discuss your wonderful boutique and your products with us here at NNV News.
Thank you so much for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you for joining us today and tuning in to National Network View News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Rosalind Parks, again, filling in for Robert Muhammad. Have a good night.
When it comes to beauty, they're usually based on very narrow ideas of what constitutes beautiful. And even if there are a wider range of women who are demanding products, a wider range of consumers who want to see themselves reflected and are willing to pay money to get these products, many brands are unwilling to cater to them in fears that it will damage their brand, in fears that it will make their brand less glamorous, less beautiful if it's attached to Black women, if it's attached to darker skinned women.
The beauty industry has a long history of catering to a very specific type of person. In the late 1940s, makeup for Black women was available, but beauty companies still focused on skin lightening products for Black women.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.